Hello there. Here we are with issue 31, and hopefully this one will be pretty interesting. So we got the Naboo N1 Starfighter. So we'll learn a little bit about that. And then we're going to visit Kato Neimoidia. That's where the Trade Federation dudes, the Neimoidians, that's where they come from. See? And then we're going to look at the R2 astromech. We did talk about some astromechs before, but now we're going to specifically talk about the R2 astromech. And now here we go. So before we'll introduce our parts. So we'll talk about that. So we're going to have two pieces here. 1, 2. We're going to have two pieces of the ribbing. We have our plating. We already have that part. And we got our various screws and all that kind of stuff. So we have that. Before we get going on that, I decided I wanted to kind of add something a little bit new. Hopefully this doesn't dissolve this, but so I've showed airbrushing, and I thought maybe I might show you cleaning the airbrush. So instead of doing this off camera, I figured I would do it now. So first thing we have to do is take apart the airbrush. So and this is a Badger 155 Anthem airbrush. So all of them they're going to be very similar depending on the type that you get or whatever. But they're all going to more or less come apart very similarly as well. So with this one, we can pull our needle out so you can see how filthy that needle is right there. And so we don't need to, there's only certain parts that are going to be dirty. So like that part, it's not going to be dirty. So we set it off to the side. We have our needle there. This part we don't have to take out. I think I'll leave it in because I don't have to take it out. It doesn't get anything in here. This is just like the needle guide or what have you. The rest of the dirty parts will be up in here. Actually, I am going to take it out because this part right here, that's going to be dirty. I'm going to dunk this in, so we will take this apart. So this part comes off first. So we have that. Then we have this spring. Got to make sure we don't lose the spring. And this whole thing will screw out something like this. We have that. I think this is, yes, two separate parts. So there's that. Like that. We have our little push pin, and then our trigger spring thing. There we go. Get that out of there. All right, now we can dunk this as well because that's got paint in it. So I was going to put this all in there, but that is a big, huge waste of stuff. So let me see if we got something. I don't know what was in there, but let's try it in here. So maybe we can put that in there. Yes, that does fit in there. We'll put the needle in there as well. And then we have this little piece. That goes in there. And then this is going to come apart. Something like that. And this doesn't get terribly dirty, thankfully. But I'm going to clean it anyway. You get a little bit of paint around the edges there. So we'll stick that in there. And this part gets even less dirty. This is more or less where the air goes through. But we'll put it like that. Well, that's not what I wanted to do at all. So this stuff is a thinner, and it will take all of my, see, it takes all of my stuff right off. That's how good of a cleaner it is. It cleans the color right off of this thing. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's try this again without the oops this time. So what I want to do is I'm going to soak this while we're doing the rest of it. So let me set this off to the side now that you've seen me take it apart. There we go. So in case you were curious what this stuff was, this is enamel paint. This is acryl dry paint solvent is what this one is. I tried to buy some more, and I think this one is actually paint thinner. Yeah, Airbrush enamel thinner. So I haven't tried this stuff yet and see what it does. I pretty much only use acrylics, so I don't know what this would do. But since they didn't have any when I went up, that might be what I'm kind of stuck with. Let's get that off of there. I'm going to mess up my tabletop here. Okay. So there we go. Get another paper towel. Yeah, so that dry airbrush cleaner, if you can see, it basically melts this thing. This thing gets melted. It's very grippy now, and it doesn't, like the rest of this is kind of like a slick surface or whatever. This is very grippy. Took I think it probably took the top layer off or something. Anyway, so that's not very fun. And then I acquired this to put my magazine in, so I can open it up to the page I need, something like that. And I can set this off to the side so I can actually look at it. So that way I don't have to prop it up or what have you. So let me set this over here. Let me grab the platform and we'll get rocking and rolling. All right, there we go. So the next section is going to go right here. And we have 3 pieces. So we have the one that we had last time. And then we have the new ones from this time. So we're going to have all of our screws, these 2 pieces, and those 2 pieces. We'll have that piece there. Those screws can go over with that. And I'll put this hull plating where I got the rest of the hull plating, and we'll be good to go. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. And now for some Star Wars fascinating facts. The secret Ewok ingredient. To craft convincing sounding Star Wars languages, sound designer Ben Burtwood turned to exotic tongues from our planet as a starting point. The Jawa language started with Swahili, for example. Huttese finds its roots in Quechan, an indigenous Peruvian language. For Ewokese, Burt was drawn to the cadence and words of Kalmyk Orient, a Mongolian language. He found an 80-year-old speaker willing to speak at length on tape, provided she had her preferred beverage on hand. This penchant caused her to be nicknamed Grandma Vodka. Got it where it counts. Perfect for the Millennium Falcon build that we're doing. The Millennium Falcon is far more than a simple light freighter. Under the stewardship of dapper Lando Calrissian, the Falcon was a sleek sportsmanship with smooth lines and hidden features like a secondary launch vehicle escape pod. Under Han Solo's care, or lack of it, the Falcon became the galaxy's fastest hunk of junk. Its dilapidated exterior and unpredictable subsystems leading many, by design, to underestimate its performance. Solo lost track of the ship after settling down to become a family man, but when his life was upended by the loss of his son to the dark side, he made it his mission to track it down again. High-flying cosplay. In conjunction with the latest Star Wars films, ANA, the largest airline in Japan, dressed up jets in their fleets as Star Wars droids, to include an R2-D2 jet, B787-9, a BB-8 jet, a B777-300, and a C-3PO jet, a B777-200. Anthony Daniels actually signed the C-3PO one when it was unveiled at the Tokyo Haneda Airport in a special ceremony. The one and only Lando Calrissian. Leigh Brackett's first draft of Empire Strikes Back screenplay was an unusual backstory for the charming rogue Lando Calrissian. I'm a clone of the Ashandi family, he says. My great-grandfather wanted many sons and he produced them from the cells of his own body. His sister, a remarkable woman, produced many daughters by the same means. Thus, we keep the bloodline pure. This fact did not appear in any subsequent drafts, and the thread was completely abandoned, thus keeping Lando forever a one-of-a-kind. That's it. I do believe. Make sure these are tight. There we go. So that completes this part. So that is all of that there, and that is the end of this issue. So next time we'll get some more haul pieces, and if you guys recognize that, that's going to be pretty exciting, and then we get another piece of that. So, but before we're done here, let's go ahead and get this out of the way, and then we'll clean our airbrush. Alright, so putting it inside that little container was a huge mistake. It melted it. So, obviously we don't want that. There we go. So you saw how gunked up the needle was. And it's clean now, which is good. We have this piece, which we will get cleaned out here in a minute. Had this piece here, which it pretty much only had stuff right here on the top of the front. And that's all cleaned out. Then of course we have this part here. So this is a pipe cleaner with some copper 2-inch lifts. Rob Inch served as stunt supervisor on The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, offering some saga continuity and lightsaber expertise thanks to his particularly unique experience. He fought in the prime of the Jedi, after all, as he was Liam Neeson's stunt double in The Phantom Menace, picking up a lightsaber to do battle with the evil Darth Maul. Liam is really tall, Inch said. I think he's 6'4", so I still had to wear 2-inch lifts to double for him. Stormtrooper hits keep coming. Nigel Godrich, a hit record producer from England, is best known for producing all of Radiohead's albums. As a Star Wars fan, he has the distinction of being killed twice on screen as a First Order Stormtrooper. In The Force Awakens, he plays FN 2330, stationed at Starkiller Base when he has the bad luck to run into an armed Chewbacca, who sends him reeling with a blast from a Wookiee bowcaster. In The Rise of Skywalker, Godrich played FN 2808, a stormtrooper on Pisana who gets an arrow into the visor, courtesy of the disguised Lando Calrissian. I'm sort of working my way through the entire cast, joked Godrich. Maybe everyone can have a go. When it rains. During the first week of location shooting on Star Wars, Tunisia was hit with its first winter rainstorm in 50 years, cutting the March 26, 1976 shoot early and forcing a weekend of production so as not to fall behind schedule. Among the scenes requiring reshuffling was Luke looking out onto the Tatooine sunset. Finding your religion. In the early 2000s, there were several attempts undertaken by Star Wars fans to overstuff census efforts in an attempt to get Jedi knighthood acknowledged as an official religion. In April 2001, a viral email urged UK citizens to enter Jedi Knight, but census officials knew of this attempt and categorized any such entries as other. The act of having to accommodate this classification led some news outlets to report this as official recognition. Later that same month, something similar happened in Australia. Warwick's War Stories. Since Warwick Davis's first acting role as Wicket W. Warwick in Return of the Jedi, he has played several roles in Lucasfilm productions, including the title role of Willow in 1988, and the supporting roles of Wald and Weasel in The Phantom Menace. He was quick to notice that all his Star Wars roles started with the letter W, and it's a connection that has continued since then. In The Force Awakens, he plays Wolovian. In The Last Jedi, Wodibin. In Rogue One, he was Weetif Cub, and in Solo, he was once again Weasel, as well as WG-11, Wameth, and Wazalman. For Rise of Skywalker, his roles include Wizich Mazer and Waltic Dudge. This part will get stuff from where the paint reservoir comes in, and all up in there, in the end there. Undercover Kylo. On the January 16th, 2016 episode of Saturday Night Live, host Adam Driver starred as Kylo Ren in a send-up of the reality TV show Undercover Boss. The premise: Kylo Ren disguises himself as a First Order underling to understand how the rank and file regard him. This involved Adam Driver dressing up as Matt, the radar technician. The sketch inspired many Matt, the radar technician cosplay examples, a look that even works its way into an episode of Star Wars Resistance in the second season of the animated series. Adam Driver reprised his role in the hit during his third time hosting SNL in January 2020 for Undercover Boss. Where are they now? And sometimes why? Y-Wings have defended the stars since the Clone Wars, being one of the most venerable designs still in operation at the time of the Resistance. The wishbone-shaped fighters made up some of the first fighters used by the Rebel Alliance. The latest models build on that design legacy, featuring some of the systems that Rebel technicians improvised to improve the Clone Wars era craft. After the fall of the Empire, Y-Wing fighters were frequently used by local systems to protect their territories. Some have even fallen into the hands of the nefarious scoundrels like the Spice Runners of Kijimi. See how it comes out. Coming out not too bad. We'll take a fresh pipe cleaner and see what kind of residue we can come out with. So fresh and dry. Ooh, still some carbon scoring. So this is very reminiscent of cleaning the bolt on an M16. Well, any bolt, really, and a rifle. That's what it really reminds me of, though. Lord knows I've spent hours and hours cleaning my bolt. The easiest bolt that I ever cleaned was my saw M249 that I had when I was in Afghanistan, and then I carried it for a while after. That was very easy to clean. The bolt is a lot less complicated, a lot less pieces, and so much so that you felt guilty because by the time you're done, you're like, well, looks like I'm done. Everybody else is still working away, and you're just like, it's taking you guys so long. Finding the Maestro. When George Lucas was looking for a composer for his 1977 space opera, his friend Steven Spielberg recommended John Williams. Although the trend for science fiction scores at the time was for modern sounds, rock beats, and electric touches, Lucas wanted a traditional, almost Wagnerian classic score, with grand fanfares and themes for each of the characters. Williams delivered in spades, and Star Wars album became the most popular soundtrack of the time. The Sunken Death Star. The idea of exploring the sunken remains of the Death Star and the Emperor's throne room specifically dates back to our explorations done for The Force Awakens. Although such a notion was cut early from the story exploration of Episode 7, the visuals had an impact on director J.J. Abrams, and he returned their inclusion in The Rise of Skywalker. The ruins are on Keef Burr, a moon of Endor system. The exterior lightsaber duel between Kylo and Rey was shot on chilly days in November and December at the Paddock Tank at Pinewood Studios. Get rid of these. The lid put back on this freaking solvent. Stuff is vicious. I'm almost afraid to see what that's going to do. Alright. So now we got to make sure we get all the lint and stuff out. Well, here's a nice little treat. This is part of the script from the Cantina Showdown in Star Wars A New Hope. Introduction. Tatooine, Mos Eisley, Cantina. Luke is terrified, but tries not to show it. He quietly sips his drink, looking over the crowd for a more sympathetic ear or whatever. A large, multi-eyed creature gives Luke a rough shove. Creature. Nagola Dewagi Wooldugger. The hideous freak is obviously drunk. Luke tries to ignore the creature and turns back to his drink. A short, grubby man and an even smaller rodent-like beast joins the belligerent monstrosity. Human. He doesn't like you. Luke. I'm sorry. Human. I don't like you either. The big creature is getting agitated and yells some unintelligible gibberish at the now rather nervous young adventurer. Human. Continuing. Don't insult us. You just watch yourself. We're wanted men. I have the death sentence on 12 systems. Luke. I'll be careful then. Human. You'll be dead. The rodent lets out a loud grunt and everything at the bar moves away. Luke tries to remain cool, but it isn't easy. His three adversaries ready their weapons. Old Ben moves in behind Luke. Ben. This little one isn't worth the effort. Come. Let me buy you something. A powerful blow from the unpleasant creature sends the young would-be Jedi sailing across the room, crashing through tables and breaking a large jug filled with a foul-looking liquid. With a blood-curdling shriek, the monster draws a wicked chrome laser pistol from his belt and levels it at old Ben. The bartender panics. Bartender. No blasters! No blasters! With astonishing agility, old Ben's laser sword sparks to life. In a flash, an arm lies on the floor. The rodent is cut in two, and the giant multi-eyed creature lies doubled. Cut from chin to groin. Ben carefully, precisely turns off his laser sword and replaces it on his utility belt. Luke, shaking and totally amazed at the old man's abilities, attempts to stand. The entire fight has lasted only a matter of seconds. The cantina goes back to normal, although Ben is given a respectable amount of room at the bar. Luke, rubbing his bruised head, approaches the old man with new awe. Solo performance. In 1975, Harrison Ford was doing some carpentry work at the Los Angeles offices of American Zoetrope, where George Lucas was auditioning actors for parts in his new film, Star Wars. Lucas asked Ford to help out by reading dialogue opposite aspiring actors. At the time, Lucas had been considering a number of actors for the role of Han Solo, including Kurt Russell, Nick Nolte, and Christopher Walken. But when Ford read the Han Solo lines, Lucas realized he was perfect for the role. 2 new stops on the tour. With each of the new saga films, the Star Wars tours, the Adventure Continues attraction had added a planet to their itinerary. The Force Awakens brought a detour to Jakku, while The Last Jedi had a visit to Crate. The Rise of Skywalker brings two new destinations, the oceanic moon of Keef Burr, home to the enormous chunk of Death Star wreckage, and the shadowy Sith world of Exegol. The latter bridges a connection with the film because the Starspeeder is one of the many vessels flying about in the end-air battle, with Star Tours providing the vantage point from within the computer shuttle. Realizing a Jedi Master. A key VFX challenge for ILM was turning the beloved character of Yoda, which until Episode 2 was a puppet controlled by Frank Oz, into an all-CG character. ILM animation supervisor Rob Coleman closely examined Frank Oz's performance since he did not want the digital incarnation to seem too far removed from the limitations inherent to a puppet. The mouth on the Yoda puppet doesn't articulate much, Coleman said. He couldn't form vowels and phonemes and looked like he was really talking. But everyone thought he did. Even I had a flawed memory of what I thought I saw in 1980. The challenge was creating what people thought they remembered rather than being a direct replication of the puppet's performance. Winnet sandstorms. Breaking the curse of inclement weather during the first week of production that hindered the Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi began principal photography indoors on Stage 2 at L Street Studios on January 11, 1982. There, enormous fans created an indoor sandstorm for a scene number 44, that was set on Tatooine. Ironically, all this effort was for naught. The sandstorm scene was the first major scene to be cut from the edit of Return of the Jedi. The weapon of a Jedi. A lightsaber is an ancient design that serves as a symbol and weapon of the Jedi Knights. At its heart is a bonded kyber crystal, a glassy stone that, when attuned to the Force by a Jedi, in an ancient process called the Gathering, has the ability to amplify the power of an energy cell into a beam of plasma energy and contain it in a permeable blade-like field. Anyone can use a lightsaber, but the extreme danger posed by a blade that can cut through anything means a Force user has an advantage in sensing the weapon. So as I pull my trigger, you can see the needle going in and out there. And then likewise, as I pull the trigger, you can see the back goes back and forth. And then we just put this part back on. And that is the airbrush. And this is our little air cup. You got a little paint on the outside there. But you put your paint inside here, inside the cup. Goes on the side, and there you go. That is me cleaning my airbrush. I did not do it off camera this time. So now you guys get to see the entire process. You've seen me airbrush now and all that kind of fun stuff. And yeah. Well, there we go. That was issue 31 plus cleaning an airbrush. Next time, like I said, we'll be doing issue 32. We've got some more framework and we've got these pieces here. So I'm not exactly sure what we'll be doing next time, but I guess we'll find out. So with that, I'll say, may the Force be with you always.